The violent hit is hard to watch, but the victim walks away.
New Year's Eve, 3:15 in the afternoon. Not midnight, not some dark alley at 2 a.m. The sun was still up. People were grabbing food, running errands, making plans for the night. Kids were probably already talking about the countdown. And on a sidewalk on Westchester Pike in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, a man was about to be run over by his girlfriend. Not threatened, not shoved, run over with a car in broad daylight. Here is the part that will stay with you. He didn't fight back. He didn't chase her. He did the one thing every therapist, every cop, every domestic violence counselor will tell you to do when an argument starts getting dangerous. He got out of the car and he walked away. That should have been the end of it. A bad argument on a bad day. Something they argued about later or didn't. But for 23-year-old Destenee Green, watching him walk away from her wasn't the end of the argument. It was the trigger. What happened in the 4 minutes that followed will make you question every relationship red flag you ever brushed off as not that serious. Because this didn't start with a weapon. It didn't start with a threat. It started exactly the way it starts for millions of people who don't see it coming. A couple, a parking lot, a fight that one person refused to let end. One question is going to follow you through this entire story. And I want you to hold it from right now until the very last second of this video. If he did everything right, why wasn't that enough to keep him safe? Stay to the end, because before the story ends, I'm going to give you real actionable tips on how to detect relationship abuse and how to build an escape plan before a situation ever reaches a moment like this one. That section alone could save your life, or someone else's. Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. Investigators established that the two were in the middle of an argument. Superintendent Timothy Bernhardt of the Upper Darby Police Department described it as flaring tempers. A verbal fight inside a car, which if you have ever been in one, you already know how fast that space closes in. No room to pace, no room to breathe, just two people and four doors and nowhere to go. At some point, he made a decision. He opened the passenger door, stepped out onto the sidewalk, and started walking westbound on Westchester Pike. No threats, no shoving, no escalation. Just a man removing himself from a situation that was getting too hot. Superintendent Bernhardt said it plainly when speaking to reporters. The boyfriend was doing the right thing. That is not an opinion. That is the police assessment of his behavior. So at this point, the argument should have been over. He left. She stays in the car. Both parties cool down. That is how it is supposed to work. But here is what most people do not talk about when they discuss walking away from a volatile partner. For certain people, watching someone leave does not feel like a resolution. It feels like a loss of control. And for someone already operating at the edge of their emotional limit, that feeling can be more dangerous than anything that was said during the argument itself. Green did not sit in that parking lot and breathe. She did not call a friend or drive home. She maneuvered that Elantra out of the Taco Bell lot and onto Westchester Pike. What direction she chose to drive in and what she aimed that car at is where this story crosses a line that cannot be walked back. The surveillance cameras had a clear view of everything that happened next. She drove the wrong way, not a little off course, not a swerve or a skid. She drove against the flow of traffic on a major road, steered that car up onto the sidewalk, and headed directly toward the man who had just walked away from her. He never saw it coming. His back was to her. He had no warning, no time to move, no time to run, no chance to protect himself. The car hit him from behind. The force of that impact did not just knock him down. It sent him across the sidewalk and into a parked tow truck sitting in front of a nearby auto repair shop. The front end of the Elantra crumpled on contact. Pieces of the car scattered across the asphalt. Witnesses described the vehicle as destroyed from the front end, headlights gone, bumper shattered, debris spread across the lot and onto the sidewalk. A 12-year-old boy named Musa Hussein was at his father's car shop right there. He heard the crash. He saw the victim on the ground, so screaming in pain. Surveillance footage captured bystanders running toward the man within seconds, strangers dropping everything to help someone they had never met in their lives. Musa told reporters that he goes to that Taco Bell all the time to grab a drink. He said after what he watched that afternoon, He does not want to walk there anymore. 12 years old, and his sense of safety on his own street was changed in under 4 minutes. The victim survived. Road rash across his back, was deep cuts on his hands from the impact with the asphalt. Investigators and law enforcement both described him as lucky to be alive, and they meant that literally. Here is the part that the news coverage mostly glossed over. Forensic analysis of the scene points to the tow truck as the primary reason the victim did not die that day. The reinforced steel frame of a tow truck does not yield the way a standard vehicle does. When Green's Elantra made contact with it, the truck absorbed a significant portion of the car's energy and deflected its path. Without that truck parked in exactly that spot, the full force of that impact transfers entirely into one person's body. At sidewalk speeds, with a 1,300 kilogram vehicle, that is not a survivable event for most people. A parked tow truck. That is what stood between this story and a homicide case. After the collision, Green did not stop. She did not get out to check on the man she had just hit. Why, she got back into that wrecked car and drove away from the scene, leaving him on the ground while bystanders rushed in from every direction. That decision to flee will matter a great deal when this case reaches a courtroom, because the evidence she left behind on that sidewalk was only the beginning of what investigators were about to find. I want to ask you something real. Has someone in your life ever made you feel like their anger was your responsibility? Like the simple act of walking away from a fight made you the problem? That inability to let a partner leave without escalating is not a personality quirk. It is one of the clearest behavioral warnings that exist in abusive relationship dynamics. Most people who end up in situations like this one never saw it coming because they were taught to explain those moments away. The tips I am going to give you are not general advice. They are specific. They are backed by real cases, and they could change the outcome for someone you love. If you are not subscribed yet and someone in your life is in a relationship that makes your stomach turn when you think about it, subscribe right now and send this video to them. Not after the next incident, right now.
I heard 2 people arguing in Taco Bell's parking lot.
An argument turned violent right outside Musa Motors in Upper Darby. The owner's son, Musa Hussein, was there, and the shocking violence was also captured on surveillance video.
She said something that made him go back and slams on her car, and he walks back to the tow truck and she just hits him. If that tow truck wasn't there, he would have been dead. Yeah, that tow truck saved his life. I just think she shouldn't have run him over, because that didn't really affect her. She got nothing out of it, and he got hurt, and now she's gonna be in jail.
Upper Darby police moved quickly. They recovered the 2019 Hyundai Elantra. The debris trail from the scene made the vehicle easy to identify and track. The front-end damage was severe enough that the car could not travel far without drawing attention. Investigators pulled surveillance footage from multiple cameras positioned along Westchester Pike, including footage obtained by NBC10 in WPVI, which captured the assault from multiple angles. Superintendent Bernhardt issued a public wanted alert with Green's photo and appealed directly to her through media to turn herself in. The charges filed against Destenee Green: attempted murder, aggravated assault, and hit and run. In Pennsylvania, a conviction on attempted murder alone carries up to 40 years in prison. That is not a charge prosecutors file loosely. Filing it means they believe the evidence can prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Green intended to kill him. Well, here is why the prosecution believes they can make that case. The 2019 Hyundai Elantra is equipped with an event data recorder. Think of it as a black box, similar to what commercial aircraft carry. In the seconds before and during the impact, that device records throttle position, braking input, steering angle, and vehicle speed. If the accelerator was fully pressed and the brakes were not applied until after the collision with the tow truck, that data directly counters any claim that this was accidental or unintentional. The steering angle data will show whether the car was deliberately aimed at the sidewalk rather than drifting off course. Combined with the surveillance footage showing the wrong way approach and the rear impact strike on a pedestrian who was walking away, the prosecution is building a case around 3 pillars: targeting, trajectory, and persistence. She followed him out of the lot. She drove against traffic, and she mounted a sidewalk to reach him. Each of those actions required a conscious decision. A defense team will likely argue crime of passion, reduced capacity due to emotional distress, or some version of a mechanical malfunction. But the footage exists. The black box data exists. The debris field exists. And the victim was struck from behind, which removes any claim that he posed an immediate physical threat to the driver. The case sits with the Delaware County Court of Common Pleas in Media, out of Pennsylvania. It is not going away. Now, I made you a promise at the end of Chapter 1. Here it is. How to detect and escape domestic violence before it reaches this point. 1. Watch for isolation. If your partner consistently pulls you away from friends and family, frames your outside relationships as threats, or makes you feel guilty for spending time with people who are not them, pay attention to that pattern. Isolation is not affection. It is how someone removes your support system so that leaving becomes harder to do. 2. Watch how they handle you walking away. This is the most underrated warning sign in relationship abuse. A partner who is not dangerous will let you leave a room, a car, or a conversation when things get heated. They may not like it, but they will allow it. A partner who escalates the moment you try to create distance, who follows you, who blocks exits, who treats your attempt to de-escalate as an act of war, that response is telling you something critical. Believe it. 3. Learn the cycle. Tension builds slowly. An explosion happens. Remorse follows immediately. Apologies, promises, the version of them you fell for comes back. A honeymoon period settles in. Then tension begins building again. If that sequence sounds familiar to you, you are already inside the cycle. And the explosion phase does not stay the same size over time. It grows. 4. Build your safety plan before you think you need one. Identify one person you can call at any hour without explanation. If you live with your partner, keep a bag with essentials in a location only you know about. Know your nearest exit routes. 5. Trust what your body's already telling you. Fear is not irrational when it is a response to a real pattern. If you find yourself managing someone else's moods to avoid an explosion, if you rehearse what you are going to say before speaking to your partner, if you feel relief when they are not around, your body has already made an assessment. Your mind is the one looking for reasons to override it. Stop overriding it. The victim in this case followed every piece of advice that exists. He walked away, he created distance, he did not fight back, and it almost cost him his life because he did not have a plan for what the person behind him might do next. You can have that plan. Build it before you need it. I am going to be direct with you. People watch stories like this one and think it could never happen to someone in their circle. That is the same thing people say after the hospital visit, after the phone call they never expected to receive, after the moment it is already too late to do anything about. Subscribe to this channel, not for the numbers, because we research these cases with real names, real court records, and in real forensic details so that you can recognize what is happening before it becomes the worst day of someone's life. As of the time this video was made, Destenee Green had not turned herself in. Her car had been recovered. The evidence had been secured. The charges had been filed, and Upper Darby was waiting. Superintendent Bernhardt did not limit his public response to the mechanics of the manhunt. He spoke to something larger. He noted that domestic violence incidents rise sharply during the weeks surrounding the holidays. The pressure of the end of a year, time spent in tight quarters with a partner, and a financial stress, unresolved tension that has nowhere to go. He specifically described it as a tough time of year for law enforcement and for families. He asked people to take a deep breath. He asked people to walk away. And that is exactly what the victim had done. That is the part of this case that does not let go. He followed the advice. He got out of the car. He created distance. He did not raise his voice, did not make threats, did not give her a reason to feel physically endangered. Every step he took was the correct one. And he still ended up on the asphalt of Westchester Pike with road rash on his back and a bystander he had never met holding him together while sirens were called in. This story did not begin on a sidewalk. It began with patterns. Patterns that probably had a long history before that afternoon in the Taco Bell parking lot. Patterns that looked manageable up close. Patterns that someone likely explained away, minimized, or hoped would get better on their own. Musa Hussein, the 12-year-old who witnessed the impact from his father's shop, said he used to walk to that Taco Bell all the time. He does not want to walk there anymore. That is not a minor detail in this case. That is the blast radius of a single moment of unchecked violence, one afternoon, one decision, and a child's understanding of his own neighborhood is permanently changed. The tow truck saved a life that day, not a hotline, not a safety plan, not an intervention, a piece of steel that happened to be parked in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. We cannot keep counting on tow trucks, because the next time, the street might be empty, the parking spot might be clear, and no amount of luck fills that gap. The case moves forward through the Delaware County Court of Common Pleas. The evidence is strong, the footage is clear, and the law in Pennsylvania is unambiguous about what it means to drive the wrong way on a public road, mount a sidewalk, and strike a pedestrian from behind. Whatever happens in that courtroom, what happened on Westchester Pike on December 31st, 2025, is already a matter of record. It is already a moment that will be replayed in testimony, examined by a jury, and weighed against a set of charges that carry decades of consequence. And it all started with a couple in a parking lot and one person who could not allow the other to simply walk away. Last thing before I close this out, if you have watched every minute of this video and you are still not going to subscribe, I want you to go to the comments right now and tell me exactly why. Be completely honest. Tell me what was missing. Tell me why you are okay with risking not seeing the next story on this channel. Because I promise you the comment section on this one is going to be one of the most real conversations happening on YouTube today. And if your reason is genuine, it might be the most important thing written under this video. Drop it. To the victim in this case, and to everyone who loves him, I hope the recovery has been real, physically and in every other way. What happened to you was not the result of anything you did wrong. You did everything right. That was never the problem. And that truth matters. To everyone who made it to the end, thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.